In a world obsessed with heroes, one man stands as the ultimate symbol of power. This obsession fuels a multi-trillion movie industry, captivating audiences everywhere. Comic book publications fly off the shelves, selling millions of copies to eager fans. Even theme parks dedicated to these fictional icons draw in massive, adoring crowds. The entire world is swept up in this hero mania, despite knowing it's all just fantasy. A father indulges his son's excitement, promising to see their favorite hero at a parade. The boy's attention is suddenly stolen by something unexpected, leaving him utterly baffled. They both look up to see a colossal caped figure looming in the sky above them. Realization dawns on the child's face as he erupts with pure joy at the sight of a real superhero. The father smiles, curious to see which hero has so thoroughly amazed his son. The father initially dismisses the sight as an expensive movie stunt. A nearby photographer scoffs at his cluelessness, insisting this is something more. He excitedly identifies the figure as a superhuman, a being of immense power. The photographer feels privileged to capture the first-ever photo of a real-life hero. He eagerly asks for another pose, but the hero's smile turns sinister. The so-called hero obliges by firing a devastating energy blast at the photographer. A horrified bystander is left splattered and in shock from the sudden brutal attack. The crowd's adoration instantly turns to terror as they realize he's no hero. Panic erupts as everyone scrambles for safety, creating a chaotic stampede. The caped figure watches the pandemonium unfold with a chillingly amused expression. The father screams in a desperate attempt to silence the overwhelming chaos. The villain relishes the sudden fearful quiet that has fallen over the crowd. He then gestures for silence, building anticipation for his next horrific act. With a malevolent grin, he prepares to unleash his world-ending power. The sky erupts in flames as a meteor shower rains down upon the city. The emergence of this real superhuman marks the beginning of humanity's apocalypse. His rampage begins in Tokyo, leaving the once thriving metropolis in ruins. He surveys the devastation with a twisted smile, admiring his own handiwork. By the second day, his destructive path has completely annihilated America's west coast. On the third day, the icy landscape of Greenland is engulfed in flames. By day 4, northern France is annihilated, with 57% of the world erased in just 5 days. The villain floats in orbit, calmly observing the burning planet below him. In response, the world's governments form a desperate alliance, the World United Army. World leaders unanimously approve a swift and decisive response plan. Meanwhile, the architect of the apocalypse is found relaxing on a remote tropical island. He lounges under a palm tree, taking a vacation from his global rampage. The destroyer of worlds is completely oblivious, fast asleep in his beach chair. Unbeknownst to him, a military plane is reflected in his glasses, signaling their arrival. Humanity's final gambit is a 100-megaton hydrogen bomb dropped directly on his position. The entire island is engulfed in a fiery blast, humanity's last hope for survival. High above, a satellite monitors the aftermath of humanity's desperate attack. The blast obliterates 3 countries, leaving only the villain's cracked glasses in the inferno. Yet, the man known as Friday emerges from the flames with nothing more than a bored yawn. Back at the White House, world leaders reel from the utter failure of their ultimate weapon. A breaking news report suddenly announces the superhuman has reappeared at a broadcasting station. The U.S. president despairs, realizing that even their most powerful weapons are completely useless against him. President James Logan clenches his fists, struggling to comprehend the nature of this unstoppable foe. An aide rushes in with urgent news, reporting that Friday has now appeared at the Capitol. The president is stunned to hear that the world-ending villain is specifically waiting for him. With grim resolve, he decides to confront the being perched atop the Capitol dome. Heavily armed soldiers escort President Logan to his fateful meeting with the superhuman. An aide offers a bulletproof vest, but the president dismisses it as a futile gesture. He straightens his tie, determined to project unwavering confidence for the watching world. As humanity's last representative, he walks alone to face the architect of their doom. The president formally introduces himself, extending a hand to the world-ending entity. Friday greets him with a disturbingly cheerful smile, thrilled to finally meet humanity's leader. The president's patience snaps, his eyes glowing as he demands to know the villain's true purpose. The superhuman simply repeats the question with a condescending, knowing smirk. Friday reveals his desire by brutally striking the president down in a single fatal blow. With a deranged grin, he wonders how humanity will react to losing its final symbol of hope. The president's guard reacts instantly, unleashing a volley of gunfire at the attacker. Every bullet harmlessly bounces off the villain's skin, proving their weapons are useless. With a single brutal swipe, Friday sends the world leader flying through the air. The president's body hits the ground as the superhuman stands invulnerable amidst the chaos. Ignoring the futile assault, Friday turns to face the world's cameras for his broadcast. He smirks, posing a silent question to the world about why he's considered the villain. A flashback begins, revealing his impoverished childhood as a family watches news of the president's fall. He remembers the pain of watching his mother suffer, unable to afford the treatment that could have saved her. His grief-stricken father then met a tragic end, leaving the young boy completely orphaned. This left him feeling miserable and alone, utterly ignored by a world that didn't care if he lived or died. He then asks the horrified world if his tragic backstory was moving enough for them. With a deranged smile, he reveals the entire sob story was a complete and utter lie. His broadcast of pure madness was transmitted worldwide, sowing terror across the globe. The president's meaningless death was the final push that sent society into total anarchy. Soon, families could only huddle together, bracing for the inevitable end. As they watched the world burn, humanity's last flicker of hope began to fade. Yet far away in a desolate, snowy wilderness, one final spark remained. A lone ventilation pipe sticking out of the snow hints at a secret hidden deep below. Peering down the shaft reveals an entrance to a mysterious underground facility. Inside, humanity's last hope is at work, completely hidden from the world-ending villain. Deep within a secret Swiss base, humanity prepares its ultimate weapon, a missile named Neptune. A scientist reports that their project, Neptune's Spear, will be ready in just 1 week. The commander steels himself, knowing the final battle for humanity's survival is about to begin. Commander Yakin of the World United Army declares his resolve to prove humanity's unyielding spirit. Their preparations are cut short as an unstoppable force crashes through the ceiling of their bunker. The commander's confident expression instantly turns to one of pure, unadulterated shock. Friday casually greets the stunned personnel, who can't fathom how he located their base 250 meters underground. Absolute terror grips the base as everyone scrambles in a desperate, futile attempt to escape the villain. The superhuman floats beside their ultimate weapon, mockingly complimenting them on their fun creation. The lead scientist looks to his commander for guidance, his face a mask of utter dread. Commander Yakin stares ahead, accepting that their final plan has failed. His soldiers bravely raise their weapons, ready to fight to the bitter end. The commander turns to Dr. Ju Sung-han, ordering him to lead an evacuation of all non-combatants. In a stunning move, he declares the young doctor is now in charge of humanity's future. Sung-han protests, arguing that any attempt to escape is now completely pointless. Yakin ignores his protest, commanding him to find a way to survive no matter what. His new mission is to gather the remaining pockets of resistance who still fight for a cause. The commander's final charge is to show Friday that humanity's spirit can never be broken. He turns away to face the villain alone, offering a final, solemn farewell. Friday watches the dramatic exchange, wiping away a fake tear with a cruel, mocking smirk. The commander's soldiers tremble, but bravely aim their weapons for one last stand. He addresses his troops for the final time, honoring their service and sacrifice. The commander promises that even if the world forgets them, their bravery will be remembered. With a determined grit, he vows to be the one who carries their memory forward. Friday watches the dramatic last stand with a condescending and entertained smirk. The scene abruptly shifts to a lone hunter lying in wait in a desolate, snowy landscape. His hunt is successful as a deer falls, providing a rare meal in this frozen world. The hunter exhales in the cold, a moment of relief after his patient efforts. A caption introduces this survivor as Baek Doha, a 27-year-old man hardened by this new reality. 5 years have passed since Friday's attack, and Doha now survives in the frozen ruins of Seoul. Carrying his prize, Doha announces his return to their makeshift home. His confident demeanor falters as he notices something unexpected inside. He finds 2 small children sitting on the floor, questioning their presence. A little girl excitedly celebrates his successful hunt, proud of her prediction. She triumphantly claims 2 chocolate eggs as her well-deserved prize. However, the other boy swiftly snatches the treats, cheekily refusing to give them back. An energetic chase ensues, with a third child quietly drawing in the middle of the chaos. The youngest boy looks up from his drawing, observing the playful fight with a blank stare. The chase escalates as all 3 children now playfully fight over the coveted prize. Doha watches the scene unfold with a tired but fond smile, calling out to the troublemaker. In the ruins of Seoul, their hideout is the last place filled with the sounds of life. Do-ha's mind flashes back to the day he first crossed paths with the children. 4 years ago, he was just another survivor wandering the overgrown city, thinking about his next meal. His craving for ramen is suddenly interrupted by a loud disturbance nearby. He finds 2 imposing men trying to break down a door, demanding entry. The men turn their attention to Do-ha, asking if he has any food with a less-than-friendly smile. Do-ha awkwardly confirms he's the clerk they're looking for, caught off guard by the confrontation. His friendly facade drops in an instant, replaced by a cold, serious stare. The spiky-haired man loses his patience and launches a powerful punch at Do-ha's face. But Do-ha effortlessly catches the fist, stopping the brutal attack with a single hand. The spiky-haired man collapses in agony, his body suddenly failing him. He realizes Do-ha landed a devastating counter-punch to his liver mid-swing. The second thug remarks on the clerk's surprisingly hostile attitude. He then calls out to Do-ha, ready to take matters into his own hands. The larger man charges forward, aiming to overpower Do-ha with a forceful tackle. He manages to grab Do-ha, lifting him off the ground in a powerful wrestling move. With a wide grin, he declares that Do-ha is the first civilian worthy of his signature takedown. But his triumphant expression quickly turns to one of stunned disbelief. Do-ha effortlessly reverses the hold, now supporting the much larger man with ease. He then turns to the first thug and politely asks him to take his defeated friend with him. The first thug struggles to carry his defeated friend, complaining about his bad luck. Do-ha smirks, realizing only one opponent remains and silencing him with a look. He then walks into the store, explaining he just needed to use the restroom. Finding the back room door unlocked, he walks in to investigate the noise. Inside, he finds 3 children defensively guarding an unconscious woman with makeshift weapons. The children immediately start bickering, their brave facade cracking under pressure. One of the boys tries to restore order, reminding the others they need to stick together. The blame game begins as the girl points a finger at one of the boys for their predicament. He argues that they all agreed to the trip, but she cheekily denies any involvement. Do-ha looks down at the chaotic scene as the children try to negotiate their way out of trouble. The girl leads the charge, swinging a board at Do-ha's leg with all her might. The boy in the red jersey joins the attack, desperately trying to stop the intruder. He channels his inner baseball star, convinced this is his moment to shine. With a mighty swing, he unleashes what he believes is a perfect artistic hit. The 2 boys grimace, putting every ounce of their strength into defending their turf. But their grand defense immediately falls apart as one of the boys collapses in frustration. The other boy realizes his powerful swing was just him clinging helplessly to Do-ha's leg. Meanwhile, Do-ha ignores their futile attacks to check on the unconscious woman. He discovers she's dangerously ill, burning up with a severe fever. Do-ha calmly removes his backpack, preparing to help as the children watch in confusion. He offers the girl a box of medicine, trying to show he means no harm. Do-ha explains he was just grabbing food and gives instructions for the fever medicine. The girl stares in disbelief as he apologizes for scaring them and turns to leave. But as he walks away, the youngest boy latches onto his leg, refusing to let him go. Do-ha tries to shake him off, but the boy tumbles to the ground, still clinging desperately. The other 2 children immediately resume their bickering, breaking into another chaotic fight. The girl realizes their dire situation, understanding they must make a choice to survive. The scene shifts, showing Do-ha now leading the children through the desolate city as they pull their mother on a sled. When he stops, the girl defensively insists they're not following him, prompting a silent, amused look from Do-ha. He smirks, playfully pointing out that it certainly looks like they're following him. He offers them a chance to join him, and the girl's eyes light up with a flicker of hope. The flashback ends, revealing they've been living together ever since that fateful day. Do-ha smiles fondly, acknowledging that this chaotic group has truly become his new family. His attention is suddenly drawn to a woman's voice commenting on his messy clothes. The woman, who has been caring for their mother, warmly congratulates him on his successful hunt. He proudly presents the deer as she tells him a hot shower is waiting for him. Her next request for him to remove his clothes leaves Do-ha momentarily stunned. He looks around their small home, completely bewildered by her sudden and forward suggestion. She playfully clarifies she only meant his dirty shirt, teasing him for his wild imagination. Do-ha flusters, quickly denying any misunderstanding as he hastily takes off his jacket. She offers to help with his clothes, but he politely insists he can manage on his own. Impressed, she comments on how strong he's become as he gazes out at the snowy landscape. She playfully teases him about his future love life before heading off to another room. Her words leave Doha completely flustered until one of the children interrupts his thoughts. The youngest boy stands before him with a determined look, asking Doha to teach him how to fight. Later that night, Doha stands alone outside, contemplating the boy's serious request. The woman finds him brooding in the cold, calling out to get his attention. She hands him a warm cup of tea, offering a moment of comfort in the chilly night. They both admire the brilliant stars, a sight once hidden by the city's perpetual glow. Their conversation turns serious as she suggests a supply run to a nearby mart to restock their essentials. The woman expresses her concern that the mart might be too dangerous, fearing they could run into trouble. Doha reassures her, pointing out they haven't seen another soul in over a month. Her real motive is revealed as she mentions one of the children's upcoming birthdays. She simply wants to give the boy a special meal to celebrate his big day. Her tone shifts as she thoughtfully addresses Doha by his name. She wonders if caring for all of them has become a heavy burden for him to bear. He confesses that she and the children are the first real family he has ever known. His sincere words leave her visibly touched and at a loss for words. Doha quickly changes the subject, suggesting they head inside to escape the cold. She teases him with a bold question, wondering if their family status makes them husband and wife. Doha is left blushing and speechless by her incredibly forward question. She laughs it off, revealing she was only teasing him about their relationship. He stumbles over his words, trying and failing to hide his flustered reaction. The next day, the group heads out on their supply run, with the children marveling at the deep snow. One of the boys, however, is less than thrilled, complaining bitterly about the freezing weather. He impatiently urges Doha to speed things up so they can return to the warmth of their home. Doha lightens the mood by playfully chasing after two of the children in the snow. With a mischievous grin, he threatens to bury them all in a friendly snowball fight. The woman joins the fun, happily preparing a snowball of her own to throw. She then unleashes a massive snowball, sending the kids scattering in a playful panic. The family works together, putting the finishing touches on a massive snowman. They stand back to admire their creation, a towering, grumpy-faced snowman set against the mountains. The kids race ahead towards the mart, excitedly claiming their future loot from the supply run. Doha's playful mood vanishes as he senses something is terribly wrong. He looks up, unsettled by the twisted, unnatural appearance of the tree branches above. The children, oblivious to the danger, impatiently wave for him to catch up at the mart's entrance. One of the boys playfully taunts him, but Doha's focus remains fixed on the strange atmosphere. Shaking off his unease, he calls out to them and begins to follow. He dismisses his gut feeling as just the wind, unaware of the fate that awaits them inside the building. A sense of foreboding hangs in the air, hinting at the tragic ending just around the corner. Before they enter, Doha hands out whistles to everyone as a safety precaution. The children react to the strange gifts, with one immediately testing his out. He pairs up the two boys, Junsik and Youngjae, instructing them to stick together. The woman and the little girl, Seowa, form the second team for the supply run. Doha lays down the ground rules, ordering them to stay in their pairs and on the same floor. He stresses that the whistles are their emergency signal if they run into any trouble. With a confident smile, he sets a 1-hour time limit for their scavenging mission. The group splits up and the woman begins her search in the deserted clothing section. She browses the racks, unsure of what clothes would be the most practical choice. Her thoughts turn to the children as she considers grabbing larger sizes for them. She decides it's better to find clothes that fit the children perfectly right now. Her shopping is interrupted as the little girl, Seowa, excitedly calls for her attention. Seowa proudly models a new outfit, explaining she styled it just like her older sister figure. The woman showers her with compliments, telling the delighted girl she looks like a model. She offers to help Seowa pick out another outfit, and the two happily continue their fashion show. Elsewhere in the mart, Junsik impatiently urges his partner to hurry up their search. He reminds Youngji that this trip is for his birthday, telling him to stop whining while grabbing snacks. Youngjae is stunned by the sheer volume of snacks Junsik has managed to cram into his backpack. Junsik questions if his friend can carry the massive haul, but Youngjae cheekily offers to share the load. Junsik flatly refuses the offer, quickly stepping away from his over-enthusiastic friend. Junsik dismisses his friend, telling him to stop talking so he can concentrate. Annoyed by the shouting, Junsik turns back with an irritated expression. The sheer weight of the snacks causes Youngjae to lose his balance and topple over backward. He crashes to the ground, sending the entire birthday haul spilling across the floor. Lying amidst the snackpocalypse, Junsik mourns the loss of his precious food. Enraged, Youngjae begins to gather the fallen snacks, vowing to get back at his friend. He spots a lone can of chips that rolled away and marches over to retrieve it. With a triumphant grab, he successfully secures the last of the scattered treats. Youngjae grins, determined not to let a single snack go to waste. His triumphant mood is cut short as his eyes widen at an unexpected sight nearby. Youngjae lets out a frustrated scream, blaming Junsik for the snack-tastrophe. He looks around the empty aisle, wondering where his friend suddenly disappeared to. Elsewhere, Doha walks alone through a vast industrial section of the mart. He cautiously makes his way along a metal catwalk, surveying the silent area below. Concluding that no one has been there, he dismisses his earlier unease about the trees. He finds it odd that a place this large still has so many untouched supplies. Reaching for a doorknob, he wonders if previous visitors left without taking anything. A grim realization dawns as he opens the door to find the remains of those who never left. Doha sits down, calmly accepting that the world now has more dead than living. He somberly acknowledges that everyone has grown accustomed to the sight of death. He recalls a news report from before the world went dark, citing a death toll of 5.7 billion. Humanity's all-out war against Friday only served to hasten the world's end. This led to a mass exodus from major cities as people fled in terror. He finds it ironic that Seoul, of all places, suffered the least amount of damage. His thoughts are interrupted by his timer, reminding him that their hour is up. He heads to the rendezvous point, finding the woman and Seoa waiting by the main entrance. They spot him and wave happily, their mission seemingly a success. Doha asks the little girl what she found, but she cheekily tells him it's a secret. He then notices the boys are missing, and a hint of concern appears on the woman's face. Seoa confidently assumes they're just fighting over snacks, right before the two boys show up to deny the accusation. The woman notices Youngjae's bruised face, realizing the boys must have fought. Doha's mood shifts instantly, his voice low as he asks for Junsik's whereabouts. Youngjae's confusion confirms Junsik is missing, deepening Doha's unease. Without a word, Doha pulls a rifle from his bag and hands it to the woman. He instructs her to take the other children to the engine room, a place he's already secured. She watches him leave to search alone, questioning how he'll manage without a weapon. Doha flashes a confident smile, playfully telling her this is a husband's duty. His bold declaration leaves her completely stunned and blushing. He quickly retracts the statement with a laugh, turning the search into a game for the kids. The woman and children begin their search in the engine room, calling out for the missing boy. Youngjae furiously screams for Junsik, threatening him for disappearing while Seoa watches nervously. Meanwhile, Doha frantically searches the clothing aisles, calling out the missing boy's name. His search leads him to the vast storage section, but there's still no sign of Junsik. Doha's voice echoes through the empty mart as he desperately calls for a response. He spots Junsik's favorite chips near an arcade, suddenly hearing the distinct sounds of a video game. His eyes narrow as he follows the noise, a new lead finally breaking the silence. He finds Junsik completely absorbed in a game, headphones on and a wide grin on his face. Doha lets out a heavy sigh, his relief quickly replaced by pure exasperation. The boy finally looks up, obliviously inviting a very unamused Doha to join his game. Doha cuts the fun short, sternly reprimanding Junsik for his carelessness and revoking his snack privileges. Junsik explains that a strange man told him to stay and play games first. Doha's eyes glow with a dangerous red light as he realizes the horrifying truth. The boy obliviously confirms he was with a stranger, not sensing the immediate peril. Junsik even brags about beating the man, completely unaware of the gravity of the situation. A cold dread washes over Doha as he understands they are not alone in the mart. His hand instinctively moves to the axe at his side, preparing for a fight. The boy finally notices Doha's tension, asking what's wrong with innocent confusion. Doha glares down, his fury barely contained as he grips his weapon tighter. A new voice suddenly echoes from the arcade, and Doha's head whips around to face the sound. Junsik's face contorts in pure horror as he sees the figure standing behind Doha. Back at their hideout, Doha urgently packs a bag, insisting they have to leave immediately. The woman confronts him, confused by the sudden rush and demanding to know what happened. His haunted expression confirms her fears as she asks if he encountered something at the mart. A flashback reveals the stranger's glowing blue eyes as the game screen flashes, "Game over." The stranger is none other than Friday, casually complaining about losing the arcade game 9 times. He internally grumbles about the boy's surprisingly painful forehead flicks, his punishment for losing. Friday's playful demeanor shatters, replaced by a face of pure demonic rage over the game. Back in the present, Doha realizes there's no time to think, only to act against this overwhelming threat. He resolves to hold his ground, knowing he must endure whatever comes next as Junsik watches in confusion. With glowing red eyes and his axe in hand, Doha prepares to face the villain to buy his family time to escape. Junsik is terrified by the sudden, dangerous glint in Doha's eyes. Friday admits he hates losing, but promises not to hold the game against Doha. Instead, he reveals he promised the boy a game of hide-and-seek would be next. With a deranged grin, he challenges Doha to run and hide, vowing he won't lose this time. Back in the present, Doha's resolve hardens as he swears to protect his family at all costs. The woman is completely bewildered by his sudden urgency, demanding to know what's going on. Doha's intense gaze reveals the gravity of the situation as he repeats his command to leave. He shoves her towards the door, frantically telling her to gather the children and escape. But as they look outside, they are both stunned into silence by an impossible sight. A massive, brightly lit pile of gift boxes stands in the snow, a sinister present from their pursuer. The woman stares in disbelief at the gifts, but Doha urgently tells her to pack only the essentials. He declares they are leaving immediately, throwing the children into a panicked rush to gather their things. A flashback begins, showing a hand stamped with a first-place prize, prompting a sudden thought. A young boy celebrates his victory, but a younger, dark-haired child sits alone, questioning if winning is truly a reason to be happy. He stares at his own first-place stamp, trying to understand the very concept of happiness. He then watches a mother console her crying son, who reveals he only wanted her praise for winning. As he observes other families, he realizes he could never understand their feelings, having never had a family of his own. The flashback ends, returning to the present as the group crosses the snowy Banpo Bridge. They walk in a single file line through the blizzard as the woman playfully sings about Santa's rules. One of the boys boasts he'll get a gift for not crying, but his friend retorts that bad kids don't get presents either. The little girl shatters the boy's belief, revealing that Santa isn't real. She clarifies that Doha has always been the one leaving them gifts, leaving the boy utterly confused. The woman asks Doha how much longer they must travel as the blizzard intensifies. He assures them they just need to cross the Han River to find shelter for the night. One of the boys interrupts their march, turning to Doha with a curious question. He points out the unsettling number of bizarre-looking snowmen lining their path. Doha glances at the strange figures, agreeing they look odd but showing no concern. He dismisses them as harmless snowmen, completely unaware of the monstrous hand hidden beneath the snow. The little girl begins to falter from exhaustion, and even the woman struggles to push through the harsh weather. The woman offers words of encouragement, urging the girl to persevere just a little longer. The woman admits that she and the children are reaching their breaking point in the blizzard. Doha offers a reassuring response, urging them to push on just a little further. But his inner thoughts reveal a grim truth. He has no idea where they're going. He realizes a terrifying new climate event, the Bexy phenomenon, has already begun. The world's climate has shifted to dangerous extremes, turning Korea's snowfall into a Siberian-level blizzard. The harsh conditions prove too much as the little girl, Seoa, suddenly collapses in the snow. The woman desperately tries to wake the unconscious child, pleading for her to stay with them. Doha stares in helpless panic, unable to answer the children's desperate pleas for help. As their hope fades, a mysterious, massive object suddenly appears in the sky above them. He turns his gaze upward, completely bewildered by this unexpected and impossible arrival. A mysterious figure suddenly appears through the blinding snow, his flashlight cutting through the storm. The stranger offers them a stark choice: follow him or be consumed by the blizzard. He leads them to a lone, lit apartment in a derelict building, a sanctuary in the frozen wasteland. Inside, the family is stunned by the warmth and space, a luxury they haven't known for years. The woman gently reminds the children to thank their scarred rescuer for his timely intervention. Their host gruffly accepts their gratitude, directing them to a washroom while warning about the limited hot water. Doha carries the still unconscious Seoa to a bed as another survivor scolds the boys for their rowdiness. This new resident, a young man in a beanie, turns to Doha with a cool, appraising gaze. The scarred man then confronts the younger one, reprimanding him for his reckless journey through the storm. He delivers a final, stern warning about making mistakes you can't take back, leaving the young man to reflect. Doha internally questions their rescuer's true nature, feeling a sense of unease despite their rescue. He concludes that staying in this new shelter feels inherently dangerous, even as the children make themselves at home. The woman interrupts his thoughts, telling him to wash up while he silently weighs their next move. He admits to her that he had no real destination, only the desperate hope of finding shelter. Doha apologizes for his recklessness, accepting that his actions nearly led to their demise. She acknowledges the grave danger he put them in, confirming his fears. But she quickly reassures him, explaining she understands his actions were driven by his desire to protect them. She gently holds his face, reminding him not to bear the weight of their survival all by himself. With a tender look, she reminds him of his own words, that they are a family. She then lightens the mood with a smile, playfully complimenting his appearance. He then adds a charming compliment, telling her she looks even prettier with her hair down. The scene pulls back to show their lone apartment, a single beacon of light in the desolate, snow-covered city. The young man from earlier emerges from the shower, cheerfully announcing that it's now her turn. The woman agrees and leads Soa off to wash up, leaving the two men to observe. Later, Doha unfurls a map of Seoul, his mind already focused on their next move. He studies the marked-up map, analyzing the dangerous zones and possible escape routes. His thoughts confirm they've crossed into the unfamiliar southern part of the city. With a determined gaze, he resolves to get his family as far from Friday as possible, no matter the cost. One of the boys innocently offers their scarred host some potatoes, a small gesture of kindness. Doha kneels down to question Junsik about the stranger at the mart, unaware of a menacing reflection in the window behind him. Doha presses for details, asking what kind of game the boy played with the stranger. The menacing reflection materializes as Friday, his red eyes glowing as he announces he's found them. Junsik innocently points out the man who's bad at games, while Doha freezes in terror at Friday's sudden appearance. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Friday gleefully declares himself the winner of their deadly game of hide-and-seek. In the ensuing chaos, a wounded Doha desperately screams for the boy to run for his life. A catastrophic explosion rips through the top floor of their apartment building sanctuary. The force of the blast sends Doha plummeting backward from the high-rise building. As he falls through the embers, his face is a mask of grim resolve, focused only on his family's survival. He uses his last moments to order Junsik to grab onto the woman's hand and not let go. The woman dangles the boy from the shattered window as Friday hovers nearby, mocking their desperate escape attempt. His eyes burn with a final, unwavering resolve to protect his family. A woman and 3 kids are shown from behind, setting up a wholesome family vibe. Our boy Doha is reminiscing, saying family is more important than anything else. Then bam, a flashback hits of his entire family getting massacred, covered in blood. Doha is just frozen with these dead eyes as his siblings beg him to save them. Someone off-screen is screaming at him, hitting him with the "You said we were family" line. Our guy snaps out of the nightmare, absolutely losing his mind in the middle of a snowstorm. He's just trying to catch his breath, looking completely shattered after that memory. Doha is crying, making a promise that he's coming to save them even though it's too late. An old man appears telling Doha he's damn lucky to have survived whatever just happened. This old man figures the thick snow is the only reason they didn't die from the fall. Then the old man drops the bomb that he can't say the same for Doha's family. Doha immediately starts screaming their names, frantically searching the rubble around him. My man is just clawing through the debris, begging for anyone to answer him. He's on the verge of a complete breakdown, just needing some sign they're okay. The old man grabs him, trying to stop him from literally tearing his own hands apart. Doha is still digging, completely in denial and insisting that his family is still alive. The old man is just staring at him, shocked at how delusional our boy is being. So the old man hits him with the hard truth, asking if he's just planning to die too. Our boy just breaks, screaming that there's no point to the world without his family. Then we get the gut punch. A flashback reveals they were his first real family. A new guy in a puffer jacket shows up claiming Doha's family is alive. This puffer jacket guy swears he saw what happened to them after some dude named Friday appeared. Doha, desperate as hell, immediately asks if his family is really okay. The puffer jacket guy starts mocking our boy for being so damn gullible. He hits Doha with the classic "information isn't free" line, looking smug. The dude demands food for 20 people, with a special request for spicy tuna. The old man instantly calls him out, accusing him of lying just to get a meal. Puffer jacket guy absolutely loses his mind, getting pissed that he was called out. He gets in the old man's face, trying to play the victim like a total clown. Just as things get heated, Doha grabs the scammer's hand, begging for help. Our boy, with a completely unhinged smile, promises to bring him anything he wants. The puffer jacket guy gets this greasy, triumphant look, knowing he's won. Doha heads off into the blizzard to find food, looking dead set on this stupid mission. The old man is just baffled that Doha is actually falling for this obvious trap. He tries to warn Doha that this guy is just using his family against him. Doha fires back that he has to follow this lead whether it's a lie or not. He then questions why the old man even cares, reminding him they're strangers. Doha hits him with a low blow, saying he wouldn't get what it's like to lose family. The old man warns him that in this world even the smallest hope gets exploited. He pleads with Doha not to throw away his life after everything he's been through. The old man screams at Doha with one last piece of advice: live to the end! Doha, with his back turned, quietly thanks the old man for his help. He promises to repay the kindness before heading off on his suicide mission. And bam! We're in another flashback as his Nuna calls out his name. She frantically tells a younger Doha that the kids never came back home. The Nuna is completely wrecked, blaming herself for letting them go out. Doha tries to calm her down, telling her he'll go search for them himself. He's outside looking pissed and worried, wondering where the hell they went. My man gets back to the house thinking the kids should have returned by now. He opens the door only to get blasted with confetti in a surprise ambush. The entire family jumps out, wishing him a happy birthday. What a twist. Doha is just standing there confused, pointing out that it's not his birthday. A kid explains that since he doesn't have a birthday, they made one for him. The Nuna apologizes for the scare, saying the kids wanted to make him a cake. The kids are yelling at him to hurry up and blow out the candles. One of the kids is already stuffing his face while the others look on in shock. Then the kids start fighting in some weird cartoon costumes while Doha watches. Our boy narrates that what he felt that day was love from a real family. We see Doha with the purest, most tear-jerking smile of genuine happiness. Back to the present, Doha has found a goddamn mountain of food for the scammer. The puffer jacket guy is losing his mind over the haul, calling it a full-course meal. Doha, still smiling like a psycho, says he brought everything, and the scammer praises him. My man immediately cuts to the chase, asking where his family is. Puffer jacket guy tells him to listen up, and you can already smell the bullshit coming. He gives a half-assed story with sound effects about Friday flying over the apartment. And the grand finale of his story is that Friday just disappeared. What a clown. Doha is confused while the scammer plays dumb, blaming his hunger for his bad memory. This dude has the audacity to ask for more spicy tuna to jog his memory. The smile is gone as Doha asks if he lied and dared to mess with his family. Puffer jacket guy scoffs, stepping forward like he's tough, asking what's so special about them. The camera pulls back to reveal his whole crew of goons backing him up. It was a setup. The scammer starts monologuing about how Doha picked the wrong guy, even bragging about killing people. A new blondie thug gets in Doha's face, making a creepy comment about finding his family. Then the blondie thug makes a disgusting comment about Doha's Nuna. Big mistake. In a flash, Doha has the blondie thug flipped upside down, ready to introduce him to the floor. Our boy slams the dude headfirst into the concrete with zero hesitation. Doha goes absolutely feral, smashing the guy's head in with glowing red eyes. He's just a blur of rage and blood, completely demolishing the blondie thug. The beatdown continues as Doha unleashes all his pent-up fury on this one dude. The puffer jacket guy and his boys are frozen in shock, realizing they fucked up bad. The puffer jacket guy is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at Doha for the sudden violence. He stands over the bloody pulp of blondie thug, whining about rules and asking if he's dead. Doha, covered in blood, coldly confirms that he made damn sure the guy was dead. My man reminds the scammer he bragged about killing, saying he's not new to this either. Puffer jacket guy starts laughing nervously, trying to walk back his tough guy act immediately. He tries to puff his chest out again, asking Doha if he even knows who he's messing with. This clown starts hyping his crew, claiming they're all former pro athletes who just train. He continues his lame monologue, saying they've been trained and beaten since they were kids. The scammer screams that they're on a different level than Doha. Sure you are, buddy. The whole crew of goons surrounds Doha, trying to look tough and intimidate him. Doha just grabs his own hair, looking like he's about to completely lose control again. A new blonde dude, Boxer Bro, grabs Doha by the neck and starts flexing his boxing rank. Boxer Bro gives a sarcastic compliment, clearly trying to mock our boy before the beatdown. Doha, completely unfazed, just asks if this new guy knows where his family is. Boxer Bro's face twists in anger, pissed that Doha isn't even paying attention to his threats. He starts wailing on Doha, screaming at him for not understanding the situation he's in. The boxer keeps yelling about his welterweight rank while beating on a defenseless Doha. He dares Doha to throw a jab while our guy is pinned under his foot. Boxer Bro stands on Doha's head, looking all high and mighty like he's already won. He gets pissed that Doha has grabbed his ankle, demanding to know why he won't answer. Doha, still on the ground, hits Boxer Bro with a dead-eyed stare, asking if he knows. With a sickening crack, our boy twists and completely shatters the boxer's ankle. Boxer Bro is down and screaming for his leg while Doha just stands over him, unimpressed. Puffer Jacket Guy is panicking, calling Doha a bastard and screaming for a doctor. The boss man orders the rest of his goons to jump Doha all at once. Doha immediately caves in the face of the first guy to reach him. Our boy becomes a literal whirlwind of violence, taking on the whole crew by himself. A new goon freezes up, completely unprepared for the sheer speed of Doha's attack. Doha lands a brutal kick to the guy's ribs before he can even react. He follows up with a clean high kick, snapping another goon's head back. A new muscle-bound thug steps up with a smirk while Doha's eyes glow red. Tank Top Thug throws a massive haymaker, clearly thinking this will be easy. Doha blocks the punch and counters so fast the thug's head snaps back. He grabs the big guy by the face, ready to rearrange it for him. Doha buries his fist in the thug's stomach, folding him in half instantly. Our guy stands alone, covered in blood, surrounded by the bodies of the pro athletes. A new guy in a tracksuit is seen running away in the background. Smart man. Never mind, the tracksuit guy was just getting a running start for a flying kick. We get a POV shot of the kick coming straight down at Doha's head. Doha just stands there, steaming like a demon, ready to catch the attack. Doha catches the flying kick from tracksuit guy like it was nothing. Our boy gives him a death stare, asking if he really expects any mercy now. Tracksuit guy tries to sound tough, claiming Doha would be toast in a real ring. This new clown gets Doha in a chokehold, thinking he's actually won the fight. The puffer jacket guy is in the background, screaming his head off like a hype man. Doha, completely unfazed, basically dares the guy to crush his windpipe already. With a single move, our boy reverses the hold and sends tracksuit guy flying. The dude is on the ground, letting out an absolutely pathetic scream of agony. He's just wailing about his arm, which Doha clearly just turned into a pretzel. Doha stomps the guy's head with glowing red eyes, ending that fight real quick. Our man is left standing in a sea of broken bodies, covered in their blood. Puffer Jacket Guy freaks out, asking if Doha is even human while telling his crew to fight. The scammer's brilliant plan is to have everyone charge at once with spiked bats. The last of the goons grab their bats and scream for blood, ready for round 2. But the entire mob freezes, suddenly realizing they're about to die. The narration says that every single person in the room was feeling the same thing. It was the pure, instinctual feeling of defeat. They knew they couldn't win. One of the goons in an orange jumpsuit just drops his bat, saying he's out. Even the puffer jacket guy backs down, asking why they should even fight him. The scammer is left standing alone, staring in horror at what he's unleashed. The puffer jacket guy is having a mental breakdown, unable to process his crew's defeat. My man is still in denial, screaming that this whole situation is completely impossible. Doha calmly asks the scammer what's on his mind, looking like an absolute unit. The puffer jacket guy immediately folds, looking up at Doha and saying he's sorry. Doha isn't having it and just buries his fist right into the scammer's stomach. The scammer's face gets all squished as he takes the full force of that punch. Our boy coldly tells him to drop the apologies because he's clearly not buying it. This clown is on the ground, still trying to downplay his actions like it was no big deal. Doha grabs his face, questioning if he really thinks lying about his family isn't a death sentence. The scammer is screaming internally, finally realizing the insane power he's up against. He immediately starts bargaining for his life, promising to reveal where the family is. Doha's expression shows he's not falling for this shit a second time. With glowing red eyes, our boy calls him out for thinking he's dumb enough to fall for that again. Puffer Jacket Guy is just screaming his head off, realizing he has no more cards to play. In a last-ditch effort, he screams the name Friday and tells Doha to find him instead. The scammer is a pathetic mess, telling Doha he can meet the real guy responsible. Then a new red-haired dude appears, confirming that he can indeed meet this Friday. We cut to a wide shot of a building covered in snow, setting a new scene. A flyer for something called the Hero Church is shown, calling it a rising religion. The scammer explains this church literally worships Friday like a god. What a twist. The red-haired dude says the church leaders call themselves heroes, which sounds insane. He explains this hero church is a special group directly recognized by Friday himself. The dude gets all dramatic, explaining the church's whole deal with a big hand gesture. Doha cuts him off, clearly done with the exposition and demanding the bottom line. The puffer jacket guy screams from the floor that the church is how Doha can meet Friday. Our boy stands over the broken goon, realizing he has to go ask the big man himself. The red-haired dude insists this is the only guaranteed way to get the answers he wants. He shows a flyer for the church, claiming it's the last human religion left standing. The guy clarifies that this church is the only one that actually communicates with Friday. Doha looks down at the puffer jacket guy, who is still a complete mess on the floor. Our man orders the scammer to take him there, and the dude looks absolutely terrified. Puffer jacket guy refuses, calling the church a crazy place he wants no part of. We cut to inside the creepy church where a new silver-haired dude is standing ominously. A new woman with glasses wonders if they're really going to that hellish place. A little girl with pigtails excitedly shows a new blonde priest guy a drawing she made. She proudly tells the priest she drew him while other adults look on nervously. The glasses lady scolds the girl Nayan for not knocking before she came in. The blonde priest guy pats her head with a super creepy smile, telling her it's okay. This new guy, Hero Gumsu, says a child's mistake is an adult's responsibility. Yikes. Gumsu explains that the leaders of the hero church are all called heroes. The red-haired dude explains the only way to meet Friday is through his cult fanatics. He then offers Doha some advice while our boy just leans there, done with this shit. The dude warns him to stay away from the Jamsil branch, flashing to a bloody ritual. We see a pile of dead bodies from that ritual, confirming this church is bad news. The narration explains these priests truly believe Friday saved humanity. Delusional much. Apparently, they all wanted to be like Friday, the only superhuman in existence. So the ones who couldn't become superhumans just decided to call themselves heroes. Back to the bloody flashback, a voice talks about realizing Friday's love. Yeah, sure. Turns out the blonde priest guy, Gumsu, killed them for wearing shoes in the chapel. The narration hypes up Gumsu as the psycho leader of the Jamsil sect. We get a quick glimpse of a young Gumsu, who already looks like a little monster. Doha has arrived at the church, facing off against Gumsu with the scammers behind him. Our boy immediately shuts down the cult talk, saying he's not interested in that crap. Doha gets right to the point, demanding to know where Friday is. With his eyes glowing red, he calls Gumsu a cult bastard to his face. Gumsu just gives him a creepy, condescending smirk, completely unfazed. The blonde priest guy asks Doha who he is, sizing him up like a new toy. Gumsu then asks what happened to the followers he had posted outside. Doha reveals a pile of dead monsters, asking if he means these things. Plot twist. Gumsu shuts up a whimpering monster while Doha demands he bring Friday to him now. Doha holds up one of the dead monsters, asking if this bastard Friday is a friend of his. The blonde priest guy, Gumsu, asks with glowing eyes if Friday is one of Doha's friends. Our boy just stands there thinking for a second, completely unfazed by the psycho priest. Doha shuts him down, saying that's not the answer he's looking for. He then asks if he should just start calling Friday a son of a bitch instead. Our boy throws a massive punch aiming to rearrange the priest's pretty face. But suddenly our boy is flipped upside down, looking completely caught off guard. Gumsu caught his kick with one hand, holding him in the air like it was nothing. The psycho priest lands gracefully, commenting on how aggressive Doha is. He gives a smug smile while the puffer jacket guy watches in absolute terror. The scammer is losing his mind, shocked by how fast the priest just moved. He admits that even as a former pro, he couldn't even track that move. This dude is just wondering how many monsters are running around in this country. Gumsu grabs the scammer's face, calling him out for his blasphemy. He then gets pissed that they dared to wear outdoor shoes inside his chapel. Doha gets back up, telling the priest he's not going to ask again. Our boy looks completely exhausted, saying he doesn't have time for this bullshit. He looks the priest dead in the eye and demands he bring him Friday. Doha screams now and launches a flying kick right at the priest's head. Gumsu just stares back, completely unfazed by the attack coming his way. The psycho priest blocks Doha's kick with his bare arm like it's a goddamn Tuesday. Our boy is completely floored, realizing this dude is not just some cult weirdo. Gumsu hits him with a backhanded compliment, saying he's at least strong enough to be loud. Doha tries to power through, his fist glowing as he struggles against an unseen force. Turns out the priest has him tangled up in some kind of invisible puppet strings. This clown starts monologuing about how he uses this line to catch giant blue marlins. He then gives a whole-ass fishing lesson about how strong a 900-kilo marlin is. Gumsu suddenly looks confused, feeling an unexpected amount of resistance from his line. We see Doha's scarred back as he strains against the wires with pure, raw power. The priest tries to psychoanalyze him, asking about the story behind his scars. Doha, completely done with this guy's crap, tells him to shut the hell up. Our boy goes full beast mode, screaming for Friday as he starts to snap the wires. Gumsu is in absolute shock, wondering how his unbreakable fishing line is breaking. The psycho priest gets a terrifying grin on his face, calling Doha a great catch. Doha stands over the defeated priest, who finally admits our boy has earned the right to talk big. Gumsu then says he'll grant his wish and take him to see the one and only Lord Friday. A futuristic car that looks like a Cybertruck pulls up to the destroyed church. The puffer jacket guy and the red-haired dude are inside, amazed to be in a car again. The whole crew is now on a road trip, with the scammer wondering how he got dragged into this. A new pretty boy driver turns around and asks for our boy by his full name, Baek Doha. The psycho priest, Gumsu, starts a philosophical lecture from his fancy car seat. Doha looks back with a smug grin, answering the priest's question with a single word: violence. Gumsu continues his edgy monologue about how humans have always killed each other. Our boy Doha is just sitting there looking completely over this guy's villain speech. The psycho priest gets a creepy grin, calling Doha out for resorting to his fists. Doha, completely done with this crap, just asks him to get to the point already. Suddenly, a mob of ragged-looking cultists swarms the car, hyped about a new arrival. One of the cultists is losing his mind that the hero has brought a new player. The pretty boy driver announces their arrival while Doha scopes out the weirdos. Gumsu steps out, finishing his rant by calling violence a gift from God. Sure, buddy. He keeps talking, saying even movie heroes use violence as they walk into a stadium. The psycho priest tells Doha that despite his blasphemy, he's sufficiently qualified. Gumsu invites our boy to a stage where he can become a hero himself. We see the new location is a massive stadium, the Jamsil branch of the Hero Church. The inside is a damn underground fighting arena, packed with a roaring crowd. An announcer hypes up a death match between two fighters in the middle of the ring. The first fighter is a colossal wrestler named Mac Diamond, who looks absolutely roided out. His opponent is a frail old man who looks like a strong breeze could kill him. The grandpa fighter stares down the mountain of muscle, and the size difference is a joke. A POV shot shows the wrestler completely towering over the old man. This is a setup. The wrestler Mac Diamond stomps the old man's head as Gumsu narrates about violence. And we're in a flashback to Mount Baekdu, 5 years before all this madness. We see a 24-year-old Gumsu, already built like a tank before he drank the Kool-Aid. A new dude, obviously Friday, is hunting down the last remnants of humanity. He finds a group of survivors, including Gumsu, all kneeling and waiting to die. Friday starts whining that he's getting tired of everyone just crying all the time. The dude is literally crying because he's bored of watching people beg for their lives. The narration says Friday was getting sick of humanity's predictable fear. What a psycho. He pulls the classic, "You're forcing me to be the bad guy" card. Sure you are, buddy. Young Gyeomsu just kneels there, probably wondering what kind of anime villain he's met. Friday holds up his hand, saying he's been left with only one choice. And that choice is genocide, because he wants to see something new. A random survivor screams as the world literally explodes behind him. People are losing their minds, realizing there's no escape from the apocalypse. A new guy with a backpack has a moment of clarity, wondering if he's about to die. This dude starts listing his life regrets, which is a hell of a time for self-reflection. A young girl is crying her eyes out, just wanting to live through this nightmare. The regretful dude snaps and proposes to the crying girl in a last-ditch effort to feel something. Then a new creep grabs him, saying it's fine to assault her since they're all dying. And bam! The creep's head explodes into a million pieces out of nowhere. A new roided-out dude complains about his boss after splattering the creep's brains. This new guy stands over the body, screaming that he's finally free from his old life. He's absolutely loving the chaos, and the narration says this is humanity's true nature. This violent behavior spreads as everyone starts turning on each other in the chaos. The whole scene is just a free-for-all of murder as humanity completely loses its mind. And of course, Friday is in the background, clapping and loving every second of this shit show. The narration confirms that Friday was absolutely thrilled with this turn of events. The psycho is grinning, asking why it took them so long to show him something entertaining. A young Gyeomsu just watches this all unfold, getting a front-row seat to the madness. Because he was entertained, Friday postponed the apocalypse. Humanity was saved by violence. Back in the present, Gyeomsu finishes his story saying violence is what saved them all. The psycho priest explains he holds this deathmatch festival every day to thank Friday. Doha is just staring, realizing this guy is a complete psycho running a murder cult. The pretty boy driver asks Gyeomsu if this is really just for Friday's entertainment. The wrestler Mac Diamond celebrates his win, screaming that a real fight has no rules. This dude starts flexing and screaming about how much he hates old people. Suddenly, there's a blur of motion and a massive spray of blood from the wrestler's face. The grandpa fighter is back on his feet and has just caved in the wrestler's jaw. Mac Diamond is completely stunned while the old man just laughs like a maniac. The grandpa fighter reveals he has no teeth, so there was nothing to break. What a legend. The grandpa fighter explains his lack of teeth is basically a permanent mouth guard. The wrestler Mac Diamond is just staring in disbelief, his jaw completely shattered. Mac Diamond starts screaming his head off, calling the old man's logic ridiculous bullshit. The grandpa fighter goes full savage and gouges out the wrestler's eyes with his bare hands. Some random dude in the crowd is losing his mind, screaming about his own eye in horror. We get a gnarly, stylized shot of the wrestler's face getting split apart by the attack. The grandpa fighter stands over the defeated wrestler, completely unfazed by the brutality. This old man holds up his bloody hands, complaining about how disrespectful the youth are. The grandpa fighter lets out a creepy laugh, admitting that he really hates young people. Our boy Doha is in the crowd, sweating and looking completely stunned by the old man's savagery. The crowd is absolutely loving the carnage, screaming that this is what a real fight looks like. Doha is just staring with glowing red eyes, trying to process this whole murder festival. The psycho priest tells Doha that he's mistaken for thinking the crowd's happiness is simple. Gumsoo gets a creepy grin, dropping his psycho philosophy that violence is a sacred power. The priest continues his cult speech, promising Doha he'll soon understand the true value of violence. Doha clenches his fist, telling the psycho priest to stop spouting such ridiculous nonsense. Our boy gets right in Gumsoo's face, reminding him he's only here to meet Friday. Gumsoo hits him with a smug look, asking if he needs to be more direct before mentioning his family. The psycho priest lists every single one of Doha's family members by name, and our boy is shook. Gumsoo smirks, asking if Doha suddenly feels like joining the deathmatch now. It's blackmail. The psycho priest repeats his offer with glowing eyes, saying, "Becoming a hero gets you a meeting with Friday." Gumsoo gets all demonic, telling Doha to stop looking lost and show him his violence in the ring. A new woman with a serious fashion sense asks if Beck Doha is the guy with the black hair. This new lady crosses her arms, announcing that our boy is the fighter she's in charge of now.